Oh my god, I even spelled uploaded wrong. How do you spell uploaded wrong? Funeral Gaming just went live. I'll take a picture, post it on Twitter.
Alright, for sure.
Oh shit. Fuck, I didn't make it. Oh.
Let's see. Got everything going, got it recording for sure. We're good to go.
That list though.
You guys having a good day?
Yeah, man.
That
Yeah.
list.
Definitely. Yeah, I know. I need to.
About to have some fun with this.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me look at this picture, man.
Oh, you know I get the notification.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there we go. There we go.
I'm a loyal follower.
All right, y'all. It's been a long time coming. You guys been asking for the podcast to come back, but we had some issues with one of our members, and he dropped out because of personal issues, but we're going to bring it back now on a regular basis. But this is the perfect time to bring it back right now because it's NBA 2K season, and everybody in here is really excited about it. We have a couple new members. We were supposed to have Larson from the Law Mob, but he, I don't know, I think he got caught up with his flight or something like that. So when he gets online, we'll get him in here. But I'm going to introduce you guys to our new members. You guys already know JB. He's been here with me from the start. But we have J-Wade 260.
Hey.
And Arios from Arios, can you introduce yourself for them, for people that aren't
Yes,
familiar
sir.
with you?
Name is Arios, YouTube's play-by-play broadcaster. Good to be here.
All right. And we had two special guests tonight. iPod King Carter.
Yeah.
And NBA 2K community manager, LD2K.
Hey, guys.
All right, let's see. We're going to get started. We're going to hop right into it. First and foremost, first thing we're going to talk about is my career this year. Now, my biggest issue with my career last year was after season one, it felt like you were watching reruns. Like you had a few things here and there, but after that, it was just pretty much the same stuff over and over again. Now, I've been waiting and waiting since the guys at 2K started doing the streams, showing us little bits and pieces of what's going to be in NBA 2K15. And I've been here. Like I remember a conversation me and LD had earlier, like maybe a few months ago, and I was like, yeah, 2K15 is going to be all about my team. And he goes, yeah, you really think so? And then my career drops, and there's so much stuff that's going on in my career that, like, I'm very impressed at what they did with my career. So, Wade or anybody else that's, in the podcast right now want to talk about what some of your favorite features are in my career or my park, for instance.
Yeah, so I mean, J-Way260, as you said before, just really excited, man. Just how they restructured the whole my career, man. You actually feels like you're actually doing something, and you're working towards something. You start off with the 10-day contract, and then after the season, then you work for the free agency. So as LD said before, man, a lot of people were pretty excited about that, myself included. I got to rebuild my heat up, but that's a whole different subject. But yeah, just excited about that, man. And then, obviously my part, all the different, features and customizations and dances and all the different stuff like that, man. It's gonna be a great year for 2K and the 2K community.
All right, Ariels, what about you, man? You excited for my career?
Well, I'm not really a big my career guy, more of a my GM or in 2K15 my league now. but as far as my part, back in 2K14, it was a fun game mode, but it seemed a little bit incomplete. So 2K15 really seems like it's taken my part to the next level as far as competition and just having more features in general.
Okay. iPod, what about you, man?
You already know how I feel about this. when it comes to my career, it takes up so much of my schedule. I literally, from day one all the way until day 365, I'm doing 2K videos. So I try to dip and dabble in every mode. I'm gonna play my career first. I'm gonna play a lot of the park. I'm gonna try to get to the legend level 3. LD know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna
Gonna
try
be
to
a
get-
while.
Oh, trust me, LD. I will lose sleep. Trust me, I will lose sleep. I'm taking, and you already know how I am. I'm traveling with the Vanguard, so I'm going to be taking it to work using Wi-Fi. So I'm going to be playing all day.
All right.
Also, my GM, I do that late. I never do my GM first starting off because I want the updated rosters. I want everybody to be where they're supposed to be, and then I try to season out. So I'm gonna play every mode, my team, everything. It's too many modes, LD. Like this feels like 2K11.
It's going to be a fun year. I think the one thing that I would say from our end is, our devs look at feedback and iPod. You've seen behind the scenes a little bit, and you've seen the community days, and the devs just talking about the stuff that they'd like to improve. I think what people don't understand is before 2K14 shipped, the plan was already in place for 2K15, right? Like, how do we evolve? How do we go above and beyond? And looking at community feedback is always important for us. The one thing that I'm really excited about is, besides the start of my career and something pivotal that happens in your second year with Doc Rivers, it's a very non-linear road, as we were talking about on the stream today. So we really wanted to take my career and bring it back to what people were really requesting, which is the game of basketball, and bring it more focused on the game of basketball, your decisions, your actions, whether it's in a press conference. We talked about today. You can actually get your my player so heated he will walk out of your press conference, and that will have repercussions for doing so. So stuff like that I think is very fun. Last year we had a lot of entertaining stuff, and there's definitely a lot of that still there, but really focusing about teaching players the game of basketball, because there is something bigger than just your career. It's when you step into my park, and then when you start playing with other players, the competitive scene. We really wanted to teach people how to play basketball, because I think a lot of people saw the reaching last year. Some people didn't have the highest basketball IQ, so hopefully that'll shape them up for the park.
Yeah, that's what I like, that everybody just can't hop into the park on day one at a 99 overall, because the reach cheese was ridiculous last year. I mean, it was like you couldn't get down the court sometimes. Like, sometimes I'll go up for a rebound, and before I even come down, somebody's already reaching for the ball. Like, it was just bad. But I'm glad. I'm really happy you guys took a lot of the cheese out, because it was so much stuff that was just going wrong in the park because people were taking advantage of every exploit possible.
Yeah, and a lot of that has been addressed, one, by the teammate grade, but two, by the rep system, because you're not going to want to play against players that have a higher rep and have earned some of these things. The other really cool thing, before I get into the my park stuff, is you're going to have to earn these in my career. You can add to your attributes, but to unlock the rest of the attributes that you can fill in, you're going to have to play my career in my park. So the really cool thing about it is we really wanted players to A, be distinguishable between positions, but B, also be able to earn stuff. So you have to earn every badge. You can't go out and choose, hey, I want to be a posterizer, I want to be an athletic guy that goes down and dunks on people. You're going to have to earn that in my career. And to do that, you're going to have to listen to your coach, you're going to have to play well with your teammates, and you're going to have to produce not only just scoring a lot of numbers like in years past, but you're going to have different dynamic goals depending on the position and depending on what the team needs. So it's going to be a very dynamic year, I think, for my career, by position and by different people's experiences and choices.
All right, before we take some questions from Twitter, JB, what do you think about the videos you saw from my career so far this year?
I mean, I was watching the stream today, and I was very, very impressed of not just my career, but my park. But like you said, we're talking about my career right now. I really liked that we're not gonna have an actual loading screen. I guess that's how I took it anyway. But we're gonna be on the court practicing, in our own home court, just practicing, and I think that gives us a better way of trying to learn our shot. So if we get a new shot, we're going to be able to learn that a lot easier. We're not going to have to go into game and play these games to try to learn our shot. We're not going to have to go straight into my park and try to learn this shot that we took. And I think that's really, really cool. And I'm glad you guys did that. But with my park, I'm so pumped for this, because that's the game mode that I played the most on Xbox One on 2K14. And I mean, the three, like your loyalty, like where it lies. I'm a Sunset Beach baller all the way because I
All
love
right,
to
that's what's up. Jordan
love to
me
shoot.
over. I like
Love to
it.
shoot.
I like it.
Love to shoot. So
All right, I had a few questions as far as my career goes. I was talking to Lisa, I think it was today or yesterday, and she wanted to know, like, as far as free agency goes, I know the first year you're going to kind of be fighting for contracts and things like that, but a lot of people were worried that they weren't going to get to play for the teams that, you know, they wanted to play for. Like, she's a Rockets fan, mostly because of Chandler Parsons used to be there, but now he's not there anymore. And she's wanting to know if, you know, she goes and tries out for that team or through free agency, can she get on that team? Or is it still going to be kind of like set teams is what, you know, kind of what it seemed like last year?
So to answer that question, we've talked a little bit about this. Your career starts 6 months into the league. You've still been an undrafted rookie, and you start to be able to try out for teams for a 10-day contract. So the way it works is you get to choose certain teams, not every team right off the bat, but specific teams. Some of the major marquee teams like the Knicks, the Lakers, you won't be able to get in right off the bat. But teams that make sense for your position. So whatever position that your player is, you're going to see who their starting, let's say you're a point guard. You're going to see who the starting point guard is for the team. You're going to see who the backup point guard is for the team. You're going to see, depending on the success of the team and how well they're doing, the different, basically the teammate grade that you have to get to join that team. So joining a team like, joining a better team, you may have to get an A- to an A, and you have 1 6-minute tryout to do this. So joining a lesser team or somebody that's maybe at the back of the pack, you probably need a C+, D, something like that to join their team. So to join the team and off the bat, you're going to have to work not only in that first practice session, but continue to play well and continue to play under what your coach needs with new coach's points of emphasis. You're going to have to continue to perform well to hold on to that 10-day contract, or you may not actually get a contract beyond that with the team. The nice thing about the free agency is the team looked at feedback from last year, and obviously free agency is something they wanted to expand on last year. So this will now give you the option. Like me, I'm right there with you. I'm a Laker fan, right? I think everybody knows that. I want to go to Lakers free agency. It's gonna differentiate based on the decisions that you've made, how well you did in your first rookie year. There's factors that I won't get into to spoil it, but the idea is, yes, you can go play for the team that you want after your first season. And remember, your first season starts at the 10-day contract process, and during those games where you have your 10-day contract, you have to play those games. You can simulate all the way till playoffs. You have to play 10-day contract games and playoff games, but everything else you could simulate. Now, you won't earn VC if you simulate, and you won't have any progression towards badges, which is really big. You're going to want to play every game. But you can get to the end of the season very, very quickly if you choose to. You'll still see all the cutscenes. You'll still see all the stuff that makes sense within your my career and where you're going and how you're performing. But you will have a better chance in a much more dynamic way of going to the team that you want during the free agency period. That's something to address the complaints of maybe having not having a great opportunity to get to the team you wanted to in NBA 2K14.
All right, well, go ahead.
The way that I'm thinking, right? So, for instance, say I go to the Pistons just because they have a great center and power forward, and I say, you know what, I can just throw dimes to them all season, get a couple good teammate grades, and actually earn something when I'm going into free agency. So once I'm done with that, I can say, okay, now I'm looking to go somewhere where it's really twin towers, or it's a good small forward position, such as the Cavs, and you say, okay, I'll take the backup to Kyrie for maybe 2-year contract or something like that, because they're not going to try to give me a 6-year max, right?
No, and here's the other thing that you're going to want to think about. Depending on the type of player you are, if you're simming stuff, you're not going to build up the stats that you need or want. So here's the thing to think about. Mm-hmm. The higher the contract you get, the bigger the VC payout. So you're going to have a lot of incentive to make those decisions. Do you sim through games? Me personally, I'm going to play every single game. So when free agency hits, I'm going to have a bigger contract, go to the team that I want to, hopefully, and be able to get that big paycheck. So it gives you incentive to play well every single game and not simulate. But we want to give the players the choice. And that's where I think a lot of the non-linear stuff comes into play. You have so many choices to make, and free agency is a really fun one as well.
Yeah, I think people will play every game because if you're starting after the new year, you know you should be able to breeze through that. That shouldn't be hard at all. Anybody that's gonna sim through their first season, obviously you just don't want to be good at the game. You
Exactly.
know, they probably just gonna say, "Hey, I'm gonna buy my guy up to probably a nice little cap, and then I'm just gonna go to the park." Like,
Yeah,
like
I got a
that's probably
couple.
gonna be their thing.
I got a
But
couple tweets
without
on Twitter like about that now. People are asking if they can simulate a season and earn their sponsorship from Nike or Jordan, and there was some confusion on if you could buy VC to upgrade your player or not. Some people were thinking you can get it to like a level 80, but then I think you were saying like you have to upgrade your badges or something as well.
Yeah,
correct.
so
So,
let's
yeah.
do it like this. I can explain this one, LD. Say for instance, a guy buys his player. You can only buy your player to a certain point. But if you don't have any badges that you've earned, you're not gonna be anything on the park because
Right.
once you get a lot of rep, it's not like those badges will be upgraded or anything like that. You gotta get the badges in my career. So you really have to play the game. Like a person could say, "Oh well, I'm gonna be an 80 overall," but you're not gonna be an 80 overall with all the potential that you could have possibly had if you would have just played your first season.
Right. Right.
I
And
think I think.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, LD.
I was just gonna say, and you're gonna want to earn those badges because a lot of people are gonna play my career to get their guy ready for the online portion of the game, which is my park. And when you start seeing guys that have earned some badges, you're gonna start seeing the competition step up. And when you start seeing the competition step up, you're gonna want to build the best player that you can possibly be. So it all starts with my career, and the idea of it is this year you earn it. You're not given it, right?
Okay. There's a guy in the chat, Dave the Rave. He's asking if Jackson Ellis is going to be the rival again. But I don't think you guys
No,
said anything about Jackson Ellis at all this year. So
no, no. LD said that is back to fundamental basketball. No rival this year.
okay,
It's more of just mentors, coaches, and especially that relationship with Doc Rivers in your second season. And it's basically all tied around the park because what happens is when you play my career, the goal is to make it to the Hall of Fame, but the goal after my career is to play the park, to play the rec center,
right,
and the other mode as well. So when you're at the park, building up your rep, you have to play teammate basketball. You can't just go out there spam steal your way to victory. Because
yeah,
if you spam steal, you'll never earn any rep. Now, one thing that they did say is if you come into the park and you spam steal and you get a whole bunch of Fs, D minuses, and stuff like that, guess what's gonna happen? You're not gonna earn as much rep as you're supposed to, and you'll stay in that brown dookie suit while other guys are out here playing in joggers, jerseys, jewelry, new
yeah.
sneakers. So if you don't play teammate basketball, if you want to go out there and shoot 36 shots just to get 21 points, you will never, be successful in the park at all.
All right, okay, that makes sense. We had another question. They wanted to know will we be able to squad up with friends from other affiliations in the Jordan Rec Center? I think they said yeah on that part. I
Yeah.
believe. That's right, LD, right?
You cannot squad up with other affiliations. You can play with them if you're in the same.
Oh,
Now
okay.
you do have a join in session process like it was last year. So if I see iPod on a park, I can go join his park. The same thing still applies this year. So you're able to go play with those friends in the Jordan Rec Center.
Right.
But squatting up is all based on affiliation. So you have choices to make.
Oh,
Oh,
And the
okay.
reason for this is because the squad rep and the My Park Championship, it's all tied into this. So we thought about that, and the thinking is you stay with your affiliation, you make that choice. Now, just because you want to be a shooter, it doesn't mean you have to go to Sunset Beach. You can be a shooter in any of the parks. You just get slight boosts to these parks that you choose. So just because one sounds more intriguing than the other, you're going to want to play with your friends. You're going to want to represent your affiliation because what it's really going to come down to, and when we have these things called rival days, is if I'm running with Sunset Beach and you guys are all running with, let's just say the Flyers, you come over to my park and I get my win on my court against you guys, I'm going to get double the rep or double the VC or something like that by
Okay.
holding down. And it's also going to count towards the My Park Championship. So really you have a lot of incentive beyond just you and your teammates to do that. So that's how it's worked in currently. But we're looking at we're going to see how that plays out in the rec center and obviously kind of monitor the status of that.
All right.
Now,
Well,
LD,
go
I do
ahead.
have one big question for that. Now, after rival days, are they always going to be rival days the entire cycle of the game, or is this going to be all the way up until the park championship?
So yeah, let me clarify that because I know we didn't really speak on rival days per se. So during the My Park Championships, it doesn't matter what your rep level is. You're going to be able to travel to different parks. If it's non-rival day, like let's say tomorrow, you're going to have to get up to a certain rep level to travel to other parks regardless. So once you hit that rep level, you can travel to other parks. Now you can always travel to the Jordan Rec Center or go to the stage at any time you want.
Okay.
But the way it works is once you get a certain rep level, you can travel to other parks. And on rival days, let's just say I pop in the game, it's a rival day, never played before, I'll be able to travel on that day as well. But again, all the wins count towards those community, and the community is going to get a unbelievable looking park around the All-Star weekend when it concludes. So everything ties back into that incentive of getting better, playing better, and really making a decision on who you play as, with your friends as well.
Okay.
And what makes it so funny is every YouTuber has been saying that they're going to be a Sunset Beach baller.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, you can already tell that, once a YouTuber says, I'm going to be this, they're almost more than half to 3/4 of their entire fan base will be Sunset Beach ballers.
Exactly.
So it's gonna be crazy because now you're like, well, how do I get my rep from being on the same park as everybody else? You'll never really earn that extra incentive of rep because you really won't have guys from other parks coming to play at your park. Everybody will have the same park. So I think.
Yeah.
I think that with my point guard, I might be like maybe a flyer, and then with my small forward, I might be a Sunset Beach baller. Just to try to test the waters because I know for a fact that if you're upgrading your player and he's lacking in some stats, I know that the affiliation will probably help the other stats. Whereas though you're already beasting in a set of stats and you really don't need an extra bump because
Right.
you're already doing well in that. So. I think that's how I'm gonna make my decision. I'm not just gonna make it solely off which park looks the best, which in fact Sunset Beach looks beast.
Yeah, and it does look great, but you also have to think there's a lot of players that want to play as athletic players. They want to play as point guards. I'm a scorer. Like anybody that knows, I mean, iPod. I just basically am a scorer when I play the game of basketball. I have no regard for anything other than getting the ball in the bucket.
Yeah, we saw you with Kobe the other day.
Yeah, there you go. So, I like to play that way in real life, and that's how I'm going to make my two guard, in the game as well. So, Sunset Beach is going to help, but it's a slight boost. It's not like major boost, like this is going to make you some stud. It's just a slight boost to these different categories. But the thing is, you have to choose who you want to represent, and there's a bigger community than just say your 5 friends online or something like that. Now, if you really want to get your buddies together and go compete, that's where the stage is. Park affiliations do not matter on the stage, but with everything else, it's tied into this park affiliation system. And so you can make the choice in week 1 and really decide where you guys want to ball. You can choose at any point, by the way. Let's just say the game's out for a week. I'm like, what? I don't want to play on Sunset Beach. I want to go to Rivet City. I can choose to do that. I will lose all my rep and rewards by doing so. So you have to make that choice. You don't want to reset your rep when you start building up your guy. So early on, I think it's going to be interesting to see how many people get their friends on with one park or maybe decide to just go against them. And with the squad up system, you can squad up at any point on that section and really find new people to play with. And maybe you play with some point guard that really likes dishing the rock. It's really going to build more communities than just say you and your 5, you and your 4 friends or you and your the people on your friends list. So we looked at things like how many players really play with 4 friends in a 5v5 setting. Looked at people playing in sessions, or maybe how many people were having people in parties that were going in and trying to play in the park last year. So we looked at all that and kind of, the devs made a really, I think, good decision in trying to build these communities up and also making it really easy to squad up and travel together. So the traveling thing is really important because, like I said, when you start getting to a certain point and you start holding down the court against both invaders or going to somebody else's court and winning, you're going to enjoy that double VC or double rep bonus every game you win. So that's where it's going to be really interesting to see where your loyalty lies, right?
Yeah. So for the people that don't know, can you explain these different groups for the people so they know which ones they might join and which ones they're going to want to be rivaled with?
Sure. So you're talking about the park affiliations?
Yeah, the park affiliations.
Sure. So let me pull it up so I get everything right here. So
I got you, LD.
Yeah, I know. He already has the note pulled up. I will read it right here. Now, if you go to facebook.com/NBA2K, we put up a blog today that was written by the dev team. It's learn all about an NBA 2K15. It's my park, so you can check this out here. Basically, the Old Town Flyers are all about looking good on the court. They like the flashy passes and size-ups. They're also tight defenders that may lead to quite a few fast breaks capped off with an alley-oop dunk. So the Flyers are all about that flashy play, right? The Sunset Beach Ballers, this is where I'm going to be hanging out, shocker, are all about scoring. From layups to mid-range jumpers to threes, these players basically cannot be left open for 1 second. So you're going to get a nice slight boost to shooting there. Rivet City Rough Riders, I actually think this is where a lot of players are going to be landing. This is basically the physical type of players. What they don't swat out of the air will end up being a rebound. And on the offensive side of the ball, stay clear unless you're fond of being posterized by a slam so hard it will literally shake the screen. So more of a gritty type of street type of player. I think the Rough Riders are going to be a very popular option. But the things that you have to think about is you're going to want a diversity in terms of the players you're playing with. Remember, on the My Park this year, there's three positions. It's not 5v5 games anymore, so it's 3v3, which is really where a lot of people spent their time in NBA 2K14. And you're going to want a shooter. You're going to want a guy that can be, maybe a flashy playmaker and a guy that can athletically throw it down. You're also going to want a gritty guy that can grab boards and really do that secondary stuff that's really important, especially on the rec center.
I just got a tweet from Old Town Flyer that said, question is, you repping the Flyers, fly or die?
Now, there's two questions that were talked about inside the chat and via Twitter. For the parks, let's stay on topic. Can you make 3 different mod players and have them join 3 different affiliations?
Yeah.
I believe you can, but I will have to clarify that because you can have different... You can create one My Player, so you can only make one My Player. I face scan myself, I have one My Player, but you can have different My Careers. So right. I believe the answer is yes, but let me check back on that.
Okay. And second question is to go back to My Career. And side of the whole free agency after your first year, are the rookies going to be auto-generated, or will you guys actually come in and create new rookies, or if it's close to draft time, you might put in like a special class or anything like that, or can we download a made up class?
That's a good question. I will write that one down and find out for you guys.
All right,
there's a lot of moving parts in case you guys didn't notice.
Yeah.
So,
I had a question from Twitter. Remo the Great asked, with the abundance of features, do they feel this could be a 2-year game with paid updates like Battlefield 4?
I think it's really great. We offer a lot of features, and every year it's no surprise we come out annually as an annual title. So, I think DLC is something that we're always looking at, but our sights are set on NBA 2K16 past NBA 2K15. But never count out DLC, and I'd love to hear ideas. If you guys ever have ideas, pass them my way on Twitter or Facebook. Tell Ronnie, we're always speaking to the dev team, so we're always passing stuff like that on, especially feedback, which is something that we do daily, seemingly, during the development process. And the dev team's so great at listening to fans and really looking at what everybody's saying about their games, whether it's forums or Twitter or Facebook. So, we're always looking at feedback and ideas.
All right, I had a question.
First question.
Go
Oh, no, go ahead.
I had a question. People keep asking in the chat about the centers, 7-foot centers. Can they rebound now? Because last year that was a big problem for people. And also another question. People were asking after season 2 or 3. Is there still going to be content for the my player, or is it pretty much at this point? You're just playing games and you're playing My Park and Jordan Rec Center.
So to answer the first question, yes, centers have definitely been improved. The rebounding's been improved. I think you guys saw that in the live stream, and even from when iPod and the community guys were up here on the sticks, rebounding's continued to be improved. And one thing I will say is we're going to have a day 1 update that'll update a lot of stuff on the gameplay end. So the vanilla out of the box NBA 2K15 will play differently than once you hit the first update, which will be required if you want to go play online and all that stuff. So the rebounding is one of my favorite things this year because you rarely see point guards coming in and snatching rebounds where they shouldn't. And even though collisions still happen, you can still have a ball, fly out of a guy's hands. You're going to see the battling between two bigs for that rebound. It's not popping out of hands like it did last year and stuff like that. So I think, and personally speaking, I think rebounding is one of the best things that's been, improved for this year, for sure, for bigs.
Nice.
And then the second question of content, like I said, that was one thing that we always look at the numbers of people that are playing all the way through year one and beyond and stuff. So we always have them in mind. And I think this year you're not going to see the heavy reliance on cutscenes like it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, I'm seeing that cutscene with, Bob the maintenance guy again. I've seen this 5 times. You're going to really see it based off of the decisions that you make, the way you interact with fans, players, press, your coach. There's so many choices that really makes it a non-linear story this year. I think you're going to see new content just based on the decisions that you make again and the personality that you have. And as you gain personality badges, it kind of changes the way that you have, interactions with people. And you could be a heated player, you could be a cool-headed like iPod over there with his egghead, or you can kind of be a hothead like me. I was a hothead. So, you're definitely going to see a lot of content based off decision making. It's in a very non-linear way this year, which I think is going to keep a lot of people that are fans of basketball happy.
All right, so there were a few questions, directed to me, so I'm gonna ask you.
Okay.
Now, the first thing about the DLC, crew mode, yeah, huh? What happened?
Well, if you're a fan of crew mode,
we lost them.
if you're a fan of crew mode, I'm happy to announce that it's back on the last gen technology that it was built on. So NBA 2K11 style with some slight updates, and that's going to be there. And a lot of people, forget. They think that even though next gen is here, there's still a lot of people with those last gen consoles. So it's a very good mode, and I'm really excited to bring that back for those people. Like we said in the beginning, crew mode was not coming to next gen, but I think it's going to be very exciting to see how the Jordan Rec Center plays out, and we're going to be looking at feedback. And there's little things, like I said on the live stream today, that right now it's 80 people that could be in a rec center at any time. I talked to the dev team. I'm not saying this will happen, but it could potentially be lowered, so you won't have as many people waiting on the sidelines and stuff like that, from 80 maybe down to 60, or I'm using this as an example. And this is the potential of the dev team thinking about those kind of things and trying to improve the game. So I'm very excited for the rec center. As far as DLC goes, there's no planned DLC. Nothing to announce at this time for.
No, I got one though. I got one. I need this money dance. I need this dance. I mean, LD, you gave K-Spade the Rainmaker walk. I need the shmoney dance.
Need that shmoney dance.
Hey, I'm right there with you. I think the more animations, the more dances. You know what I mean? I can't mocap the dances, so we might be slow on that. But depending on me to dance, but
hey, fly me out. I know how to rock my hips.
He said he got it. Hey, I had
also,
go ahead,
big thing. Yeah, this dude is going crazy in the chat. Now, to your knowledge, LD, the tallest player in each position in the real NBA, you can actually make that person, right?
Somewhat correct, yeah.
Okay, so what's the max on a small forward? Is it 6'10" or 6'11"?
I'd have to go look at the exact answer, and I don't want to answer that without that in my hands. But remember, more importantly, depending on size, weight, is the position that you pick and the buckets that are in the position. So if I'm a center, I'm not going to be able to have the playmaking that a point guard has. Now, I can still get my attributes up, but my attribute max as a center, if I want to make a really big center or a really big power forward, small forward, you're going to have attributes that are, the maxes on all the attributes vary depending on the position. So what this is going to do is this is going to help individualize players. One thing that I always had an issue with last year was everybody could kind of do everything, right? It didn't matter what position you were. Actually, the athletic 3 probably had the best advantage out there. So this is a direct response to that in really trying to help individualize players and play styles. And with badges, that's kind of the added thing that you will have to earn. And like I said, depending on the team you're on, you're going to have different objectives. So you may be a rebounder as a forward on one team, not necessarily a scorer. So you may not earn certain badges until you keep playing and playing and playing, and you become this certain type of player. So there's a lot of variables to that, but In terms
Yeah,
of
because
the max height,
of the
I'd have
height.
to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of badges, I had a question from UTX the Prophecy on Twitter. He wanted to know if will badges heavily affect players on the Jordan Rec Center.
Badges will affect the way that players play. Now, one thing about the badges that I know where he's going with that question, they're a little worried about those active hands and posterizers that we saw last year. All that's been completely reworked. It's been unified in one single badge system. And I had spoken many times to the dev team about making, balance is what they were preaching all year long. And I feel they've done a really great job. There's not really an overpowered badge or something that you got to be wary of. But again, the fact that you have to earn these badges is really what it comes down to. And yes, that will help distinguish your player from somebody else's my player. So it's definitely going to help the specifying that kind of play style that player has, if that makes sense. So badges, yes, will affect things in the Jordan Rec Center, but you're not going to see anything like active hands when a player goes to drive or stuff like that. We were playing a dev team that had a bunch of badges, and iPod can speak to this when he played in the Jordan Rec Center game. They had a ton of badges. Our guys had none in terms of the community guys, and iPod, tell them what happened. I mean, tell them how sim that game was.
I mean, we only lost by 2 points.
Okay. So that's not gonna be
like,
too
and we only lost because of LD. Yeah, I had to put you on the spot.
So it's just gonna be based off basketball IQ, pretty much, is what you guys been preaching since the start.
It is. You have to work for shots. You have to work for plays. Even in the Jordan Rec Center, it plays entirely different than 2K14. I think a lot of people, when they have those hesitations about how the gameplay is going to be, once you pick it up on Tuesday, you're going to immediately notice how nice it feels. And a lot of that legacy stuff, the team really went in this year. And a shout out to our amazing gameplay dev team. They really cleaned up anything that was a legacy issue for the most part. And it just feels flawless. I mean, it's going to be really fun. And people are going to be excited to see how sim these Jordan Rec Center games are. You try to reach, you're going to get burned. You're out of position for 1 second, you're going to get burned. The spacing is phenomenal. So there were a ton of times where the devs would double down on me. I was playing the point guard during that game, and I was able to just take it out. I was playing as iPod King Carter, which was really weird because Sub was playing as QJB and QJB was playing as Robbie, and we didn't really know who we were playing with because we were all scrambling to play the game. But it honestly just really felt simulation style. I think people. There's a difference between how you play on the park, which is a very fast tempo, very fun style that I think people are really going to enjoy. We've enhanced that feeling, but then also coming to this simulation style basketball and working and grinding out these plays, and every time down the court. And iPod, it doesn't really matter what I say about it. You tell the people, how did it feel trying to score every time down the court?
I mean, I will have to say that playing with 5 guys, you have to trust them. When we were playing, we were kind of like, oh my God, we need a bucket. And then the devs would come down and run something nice and just get a score. And you're like, what the heck? Why was it so easy for them?
Chemistry.
So, yeah, exactly. So you're definitely going to need that. But as well as, you have to pick your shots. Don't just start pulling threes as soon as the game starts. Get yourself going. A couple mid-range jump shots, a couple floaters. Get your bar up, and please don't try to run around the court like a madman and then try to pull up, because you're not going to have the actual bar. Like LD knows, the shooting bar, it's not a stamina bar down at the bottom anymore. It's just shot feedback. So if you're constantly moving around, that bar gets smaller and smaller. Trying to hit a perfect release with a small bar like that is like 0 to none, man. Right. So you're definitely going to want to play simulation. You need to get guys spot open, call a couple screens, see if you can hit people in the corner. If another guy decides to come over and help out, just play basketball. Don't play like the park. Don't spam, and then 3 guys are all waving their hands at this one player, and he just kicks it out to the 3, and they hit the 3 every play. So
exactly.
And the other thing about the park is with the teammate grade, you can't do some of the stuff you were doing last year. So you want to reach. You guys know how it goes in my career. Keep reaching, and your teammate grade is going to drop very, very fast, which means you're not going to earn rep, which means the other players are going to continue to get better around you. And I think that's really the cool thing to it, too. As my player progresses, as you earn these badges, you will feel and see a difference. Even if you max out your attributes right off the start, you're not going to be a 99 overall. That was something that we completely shut off. You will only have a a max of maxing out your attributes right off the start, and then you're going to have to earn the rest of the slots to max out your player by playing My Career and My Park and so on and so on. So, you know, the reaching thing has been addressed. The reaching steal system's brand new this year. So, you know, all those things that frustrated players or people had criticism on from last year, the dev team just did a phenomenal job of going in there and, again, addressing and improving everything across the board, whether it's game modes, as you guys have learned about, or gameplay, which is my favorite thing. Because at the core of NBA 2K, it's always been about simulation basketball. And I think this year, more than ever, it is just a phenomenal playing game.
All right, I got a question for the guys in the podcast. What are y'all repping in My Park? I'm going to be with the Flyers.
Well, you know, the crew's already ready, man. You know, we got our little squad ready, so we already know where we're gonna be at. We're gonna be with the Flyers. Me, Funeral, Nisha, Lisa. It's so many people that we got. I don't want to leave anyone out, but
that's like we got like
I
a
see y'all
19-man
crew.
rotation right now.
Yeah.
We out here.
So what about you, iPod? Where you going, man? Okay, I think iPod stepped away. LD.
Oh, my bad. My mic was muted. Holy crap. Nah, but I'm not gonna say to be determined. I'm just gonna put it to you guys like this. The way I build my point guard, I make him an athletic one, a defensive one all around. Wherever I see my stats lacking, my attributes, I'm gonna send that player to the court where it'll actually help me level out my guy. I'm not just gonna boost one thing and have a 6'4" point guard dunking over people. How about a 6'4" point guard that can flashy pass, or a 6'4" point guard that can shoot over the top of you or get these buckets? That's how I'm gonna make my decision.
Right. Okay. We're gonna take one more question from Twitter before we go to the next subject. Let me see, where did it go? Oh yeah, Lisa wanted to know: are you gonna be able to get certain players traded to a team in My Career, or is it gonna be, kind of based off the needs of the team?
I'm going to say I will let you figure out that when you go to the team that you go to and have the experiences that you have.
All right. The dodge right there.
Right. Now, right before we move on, LD, how many camera angles do we have at the park?
I think you see the similar ones from last year. That's a good question, iPod. I have to check that out. Remember, a lot of this stuff, it's not like I have a retail kit to be able to go play.
Right.
And even just getting, the devs do their testing and stuff throughout the year. But I think there's a few camera angles. I don't know if any have been added from last year, so I will have to double check on that. But the nice thing is the score overlay is on every camera angle. So it doesn't matter if you play the 2K view or you play the broadcast view or whatever camera angle is available, you're going to have that score overlay on your screen. I know that was a huge problem with the park last year, so definitely taking care of that this year. So you're always going to be able to see the score and know what situation you're in.
All right, cool. One more question. They wanted to know, in the Jordan Rec Center, because it's simulation, will your players lose fatigue, miss shots, and mess up when he's tired?
Yes, he will. Shooter fatigue is something that's new. You guys learned about that. Mike Wang was talking about that on our live stream on Tuesday.
Okay.
If you're not aware, they looked at every player in the league. Now, this is I'm going to get into the answer on the rec center. They looked at every player in the league, and basically when a player starts shooting over what his field goal average is, that player has the potential, depending on the situations, how rested he is, to start having shooter fatigue. So, for example, if I wasn't a smart player with Kobe and I tried to jack up 50 field goal attempts, I'm going to start going through a heavy shooter slump because of that shooter fatigue. So they looked at things like analytics data based off field goal percentages and field goal attempts, more importantly, and they added this whole thing called shooter fatigue. That being said, the stamina for the rec center is completely different from the way that it works in the regular game, and I'd have to have a dev speak on that to give you guys more details, but just know if you're turboing up and down the court, you're really trying to not play smart, it's going to affect the way that you play for sure.
All right, cool. All right, before we move on to the next topic, Wade or Ariels, is there anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, I'll just jump in here for a second, JD. So what features will the next gen or the last gen have that the other generation of 2K15 won't?
For last gen. So obviously, you know, I get a lot of questions about, hey, is my career the same in next gen?
Right.
The technology of next gen is being fully utilized, you know, for what our team's doing. So, you know, you'll see differences in my team. The park is not available in last gen. That being said, a big thing that we really wanted to bring back and obviously get right in terms of what the fans wanted exactly was crew mode, and I think that's a really big game mode for fans of last gen. So that's not on next gen. Crew mode fully featured, fully NBA 2K11 style is on last gen. Also, 2K Heroes is something that's last gen exclusive. But then you get everything else that you had last year. So you still have the outside of the LeBron mode, but Path to Greatness specifically. So you're gonna have your online associations, which, you know, with online around 2K, it's been our goal to stabilize it and make sure that these things work. Online associations are in. All the stuff that you would expect from last year is also in.
Sure. Okay.
Wait.
This is just a question I have for my career, but you know, the last year's my career, I don't want to necessarily say it was scripted, but it felt like there's a lot of moments where it was kind of forced into doing a certain thing or a certain situation, you know, and then you
Yes.
get your cutscenes or whatever. And like you said before, LD, I know you guys kind of changed it, but will we have anything similar like that, or is it completely, you know, just free flowing and it just depends on how you perform, you know, playing basketball or what?
Yeah, so we had a very, very few moments like that. I think free throws were one of them. You know, where you started missing some free throws. But other than that, there was just a few last year where that occurred. I've been told that it's completely not scripted at all. So, you know, it's going to be basically dependent on how you're playing, what the scenarios of your games are. Now, these can vary. Like I said, different positions, who your coach is, how you're treating your teammates, your chemistry with your teammates, your coach satisfaction rating. All that is going to be new and really affect the way that you know, you progress through your my career. But in terms of like the scripted moments, beyond, you know, the fact that the storyline starts as you as an undrafted rookie, and the fact that Doc Rivers will join you in year 2, and I'm not going to get too much further into that because it's awesome. Besides those two things, completely non-linear way of approaching my career this year and bringing it closer to the game of basketball.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for answering that. I'll be right back. Give me some tissue so I can cry, tears of joy. Happy to hear that.
All right, so this was a big thing for everybody last year, whether it was Park or my team. All you heard people hollering was cheese, and
Yes.
Cash Nasty actually made a name off the cheese. So I know you guys dealt with it. iPod, LD, you got some Cash cheese, and
It's
I
all
beat
been
that cheese,
addressed.
by the way. I sliced
yeah.
that shit in half, so yeah.
Yeah, like,
so
bro, I'm gonna keep it real. The only thing that you guys really have to worry about is training boosts. You know,
Yeah.
people use a few training boosts to get a couple different things up, but as it goes for like zigzag cheese and charge cheese and all that, like all that bull crap that people were
Yeah.
doing, you know, and the double jumping for a rebound after a block and stuff like that, all of that stuff has been taken out. So,
Okay.
you know, the 1-3-1 zone, that has been completely taken out. So you really don't even have to worry about any of those things. You know, people are gonna have to play basketball to win.
for sure. Okay.
And,
Good.
and my response to that would be, the gameplay team looked heavily at all that cheese. And one thing I did was connect some of the Virgin Gaming tournament players, some of those money game players that really like to compete with the game. I brought them in after the King of the Court tournament because I noticed a lot of alley-oops. They're doing a lot of repetitive stuff to try to, you know, score. So I brought them in. They talked to the dev team, and while the dev team focuses on the simulation style, there is the style of putting the controller in a player's hand and letting him run wild with the game. And I think you've seen some stuff like quick draw charges, and 1-3-1 off zone, you know, and they have to look at that stuff and try to combat some of that player behavior. So I think the dev team has done a phenomenal, flawless job of really getting in there, cleaning up all that stuff that was frustrating with gameplay last year. And, you know, I feel it's in a very, very, very positive state right out the gates. And you guys are going to really enjoy what you see, depending on whatever mode you're playing.
Yeah, because Park was bad, but it wasn't that bad when it came to the cheese. But my team, Oh my God, like the dunk animations, the side to side pull up jump shots, and that's something else a lot of people are asking in the chat right now. Are the dunk animations either, you know, tuned down, or are they just like completely gone?
Okay.
Yeah,
LD, I can
go
answer
ahead.
that for him. Oh
Go
yeah,
for it.
I've been. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Nah. To tell you guys the straight up truth, there are a few guys that can literally dunk over people in this game. You know, I had who was that? Was it Henry Sims got dunked on by Levine? But it was like one guy was Levine and the other guy was the computer. He literally jumped over him. But the
Oh
thing
wow.
about the dunk animations this year, and you may have seen it in the live stream of LD and Ronnie 2K playing. I think Ronnie was the Bulls, and he tried to go up for a dunk with Kyle Korver, and he was like, "No, I'm not that athletic." And literally players will either throw the ball at the rim, not even make it halfway. Some people will get rim blocked. It's a lot of different animations. So the posterizer, you may get drug into the animation, but it's up to the defensive player to make a play. You'll get
Right.
drugged there, but you have to either jump, try to go for the steal, call for a double team, and it will mess up the offensive player's momentum.
And the other thing about that, you're not going to see players dunking over other players unless they're in a bad position. So if they're right underneath the rim, which are some players do, you saw on the live stream, I came down with Nick Young and Ronnie didn't really come out on me. He saw me coming down the lane. He kept backing up. And guess what? He was right underneath the rim. So you know what's going to happen? He's going to get a facial. And that's what happened. So, you know, that's kind of the nice thing about how the animations worked. And as far as those suck and pull animations where the defender is, you know, looking away and getting dunked on, you really can't control them. All that's been rewritten. Mike Wang talked about that on the live stream. So all those animations they took out, and it's really, it really puts all the onus on the user to be in a good position to contest. You also saw a couple dunks where we went up and there were some dunk blocks and some missed dunks and some fouls and stuff like that. All that stuff is new as well. So it's really this real-time contact that you feel when you're playing the game. And I'd really be curious to see where you guys, how you guys feel about this in a few months. But you won't see these animations that are these suck and pull animations that people criticized from last year. The gameplay team's done, again, I could sit here and say this all day, and I know this sounds crazy, but taking out those legacy issues, taking out everything that frustrated people from last year, they've done such a phenomenal job of addressing all of it.
Good,
I mean,
because
in which they do every year, by the way.
yeah,
Like
it gets better every
sometimes,
year though.
yeah, when we go out to these community team ups, you know, a lot of fans always say, "Hey, this game just came out and nothing is fixed." Well, bro, when we play the game, we're trying to fix the next year's game.
Right.
You know, we're like the game is already written by the time that we get out there. So we play the game and we say, okay, we've
Right.
seen this, we've seen that, we've seen this. So the next year coming, all of that stuff it gets taken out. You know, we talked about the zigzag cheese. We talked about the layup cheese. You know, where a person throws a scoop layup every single time and he makes it 100% of the time.
Right.
We talked about all of that. You know, and they've addressed it. It's just, you know, they listen, and you know, when we come there, you know, we just got pamphlets, we got recordings, we got Twitter. I mean, I favorited so many tweets one year, like it was insane. Like I'm just scrolling, I just keep asking questions. I keep scrolling, you know, and the devs listen. You know?
Yeah, that's good, man, because I can't count how many times I went up to try and block a dunk. I know what the guy's gonna do before he even gets in the paint, and I step from under the basket to try and block the shot, and it just pushes me right back under the rim.
None
And
of that this
drove
year.
me crazy.
Yep. Unless you're right underneath the rim and, you know, again, being stupid on defense, you're guarding a guy that's a high flyer. Look
Yeah.
at the Nick Young dunk from the live stream, and you'll see what I'm talking about. He was backing up. He was underneath the rim. A guy's not going to be able to jump up and contest a shot at that point, but I'm going to dunk over him, you know,
Right.
because he's not in good position. And
Right.
I think you're going to see being in good defensive position this year, especially in games like the rec center. And we saw a ton of this. I mean, how many dunks did you truly see in that game, iPod? I don't recall too many at all, because we were cutting them out of the paint. We were kind of keeping them out of the lane, and you know, it was working. They got some shots up, but we definitely kept them out of the paint. And that's the nice thing about how NBA 2K15 is, with all the upgraded defensive you know, systems and all that stuff. You can really guard on a position to position, player to player matchup. You can really guard players how you want to, and really have a deep dive into your defensive scheme, which I think is going to make so many people happy.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I know for sure that when I played Mike Howard, like, you know how he was. He's a cheese fest. Like, you know, he was trying
He's
to
out to
take. Yeah, he was trying to take over with Zach Levine, and it was like, I'm trying to figure out ways to stop him. And he went on a nice little tear with him because he would keep calling isolation, clearing it out, and it was up to me to help out on defense. And once I got a good niche to it, it just rendered him useless. He couldn't use them, and then he started shooting with other teammates, and I said, "Oh, he's ass." Okay, good. Now the game is even. Because like for the first quarter, he was just going crazy. Once he jumped over one of my players, I said, "This is gonna be a long night." But yeah, it definitely balances itself out. But you have to have the game plan to try to win. Like you can't just say, "Oh well, I'm like when people used to run into the paint with their guard or small forward or shooting guard, and the ball used to get tipped and it'll roll off somebody's leg and all of that stuff has been addressed. Players that crash, that try to help out, they try to double team more than just keep swiping at you, and fouls will get called, kickballs will get called. There was a point in time where I actually did a crossover and a ball hit who was it? Aaron McKee. I was playing like retro Sixers against the new Sixers, and the ball literally touched Aaron McKee's foot as I was doing a crossover, and they called kickball. So
let's go.
It's definitely a lot of things that have been addressed this year, and that's why I can't wait until Tuesday, man. Like I need everybody to just be like, "Yo, thank the Lord."
All right, and for future reference, guys, you see now with everything they've changed in this game. This year, you see that they actually listen to the community, and from the time I've actually spoke with LD on Twitter all the way up until now, like every time I ask him about something or tell him about something that's going on in the game, he says he's gonna take it back to the dev team. He actually takes it back to the dev team. So, don't feel like you can't go to him and tell him something that's wrong in the game or something that you don't like, and it's not something that they won't consider working on for 2K16.
And to that point, I'm glad you brought that up because, I think since I got here a couple of years ago, it's been a more direct line of communication to the dev team from the community. Regardless, I think people have this thing of we only talk to big YouTubers, and I want people to know you could be an egghead on Twitter, like how I dropped that egghead reference. You could be an egg on Twitter, and you could literally just send me a Google Doc and have ideas on there. And really what I do during the year is, 90% of the time I get an ideas list. It's like, okay, what your ideas are, we already have those ideas since last year, right? Like that's been in the vision to change and to add. But then you get some gems in there, and I really like to find those gems and deliver those to the team because I know and I've seen this game get affected by direct feedback, and that's one of the coolest things about my position here is that you see the influence on the dev team, and I think as more and more community people come up here, and as you guys get to know some of these devs more and more, they are just really big fans of everything our community does, and they're always listening. And just because not everything necessarily makes it in, not everything translates over, but we're definitely listening. And I think NBA 2K15, as you guys have seen and are going to have in your hands on Tuesday, it really is. There's a little bit of everything for everyone, and it's just an extremely deep experience. I mean, I know I'm going to get in trouble with the wife, and I work there, you know what I'm saying? So it's just too much 2K, man.
All right, as far as cheese goes, before we move on to the next subject, Arios or Wade, is there one thing in particular that you really hated last year that you seen they addressed for 2K15?
Off-ball defense. I hated
yeah.
the fact that, and this goes into a couple different things, but we saw a lot of users switching to off-ball defense. Remember, they have analytics for everything you do. You jump at a certain point, they know when you jump.
1-3-1 off-ball defense.
They know when you so 1-3-1 off-ball defense, and people have this misconception that the 1-3-1 was pulled out. Before we pulled it out, by the way, talking to multiple coaches across the league, and you heard some of that on the live stream as well, before we pulled out the 1-3-1, I remember specifically sitting down with Mike Howard, and we were playing these games, and I was trying to off-ball, do the cheese that was last year. This was months and months and months ago, maybe February, and I was trying to do these things that would replicate, 2K14 and the issue that was the off-ball defense, and it just wasn't happening. Passes were going where they should be, and they weren't getting tipped, and the ball wasn't being bobbled around. And then they made the decision to pull it out after they talked to coaches, and they really understood that, you know what, no team in the NBA really runs a true 1-3-1. They don't even start. They may start in a 1-3-1 positioning, but by the time the set is done, they're not running a 1-3-1. So I think removing that was big. But you'll see this year, and I feel very confident saying this, you will be rewarded for playing good on-ball defense this year. And I think more than ever in the series history, it is just fun to play defense this year. Like, it truly is, you know? And playing off-ball, like, I remember there was just one possession in the live stream where I literally played off-ball just to see what Ronnie would do. And he drove down the lane, and he got a score. I think he got an and one. And I was like, yep, I'm going back to on-ball. You know what I mean? So it just really feels really, really good this year, and they rewrote the defensive system, as Jerson was talking about a little bit. And, you know, it feels good. That's the best way I could say it. I know that's my very odd catchphrase, but it feels so damn good to play on-ball defense this year. And that's probably, out of a lot of things that they've addressed, that's my favorite thing, because I'm a big believer in competition, head-to-head. You and me, don't let the computer play for you. You play for you, I play for me, and I beat your ass, you know?
Exactly. So what about you, Wade?
Got real here.
Yeah, man. On-ball defense, man, it's a struggle, man.
Yeah, man. It takes skill to actually play on-ball defense, and a lot of people didn't understand that last year. And then I've gotten into heated conversations with people. Oh, you're just mad because you can't beat the 1-3-1 off-ball defense. Adjust. But it's like, at some points, especially when you're playing my team, when you have certain defensive players and offensive players out there, you just can't beat it. Like,
well, unless
it's more just like an exploit.
MJ and Julius Irvin, you could beat it then, because what will happen is you call isolation 4 out 1 in. And what will happen is if you drive just a little bit to the foul line on the right or left side, one of those players cut to the basket, and it totally obliterates the 1-3-1. And that was like alley-oop cheese. So it's like you're using cheese to beat cheese. Exactly. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I threw 40-something alley-oops one game just to beat this dude. I said, yo, if you can't stop it, you can't stop it. He changed the man-to-man. Guess what? Step-back jumpers. Layups, like it just got ugly. He quit. He ended up quitting.
Oh yeah.
It's the game. You know, it's a very tough thing to do as a gameplay team. Like I completely commend those guys for going in and really working on all this stuff that has been there for, you know, quick draw charges have been there for a couple of years, and it's like, how do you address that? So finally, you know, they came up with a really just ingenious way of addressing things like that. You know, playing off ball, people can still play off ball if they want, but I promise you will feel and make a difference with on-ball defense this year. And it's been a long, long time since I really loved the on-ball defense, because I am an on-ball D guy. I came up playing NBA 2K online head-to-head quick match. I could tell you guys some stories sometime about some funny times with the NBA series before I even got here. But I'm very much like a guy that really harps on balance. I know Scott O'Gallagher jokes all the time. He says that we're dairy-free this year. I think that's a really nice way to put it. We're a dairy-free product for you folks out there that are, you know, a little bit worried about some of these legacy issues, or, you know, the gameplay team has done just, again, I'm commending them. They have done such a phenomenal job of really making this game even, balanced, and straight-up fun. This game is fire this year.
On something that iPod said about having to throw so many oops in that game, now, this is something that I have to admit to doing myself, especially playing in the park. Like, I play a point guard, and, like, I pride myself on always knowing where my teammates are at all times. So if I'm running on a fast break, I know if somebody's running behind me. So, you know, I'll throw a oop behind me or to the left or to the right or something like that. And it gets to the point where sometimes it's just like, I know where my high flyers are, so I know if they're coming on a break or if they're going to dunk on somebody, I'm throwing an oop every time. Sure. So a lot of people in the chat were asking, is the oop cheese gone?
There was something with the game last year, and I said this on the live stream, and Mike Wing was laughing about it, but, you know, last year, once you threw that pass, it wasn't the problem wasn't that people were running and jumping. The problem was that you couldn't bump a guy that was running towards the alley-oop. So he would be able to catch it 100% of the time if you were in a good area to throw the pass. So the receiver couldn't be bumped. Now you can stand in front of the receiver and bump him. You have to be a very good passing point guard to throw accurate alley-oops. And you also have to make sure that there's not people congesting the lane, because you're not going to just be able to automatically run up, catch, and dunk the ball. So I think you guys are going to see a very, very fine-tuning of alley-oops, and we'll be curious to, of course, as the game goes on, see your feedback on all the gameplay, because, you know, the gameplay devs are going to be working on multiple patches, I'm sure, and you know, they'll be looking to see what the reception is for alley-oops. But from my experience playing the game, It's just nice because I can tell when it's a 2-on-1 what that player wants to do.
Right.
It's like he's either going to pull up, and that needs to be a good shot with the new shot system. If that guy's not a pull-up guy, he's not going to automatically hit the jumper anymore. Shooting's much more difficult this year in a very simulation-style way. You know, a guy like that's a catch-and-shoot guy shouldn't be able to just go side to side and pull up randomly. You know, it's not a Kobe Bryant type of player where he can just pull up from any point with the ball. So when you start seeing these things in action, I see an alley-oop or an alley-oop passer coming down. He either has to pull up or he's going to throw that alley-oop. I can run back to the guy that's going to receive it and now bump him off the way. And guess what? It's my ball. We're going the other way. So a lot of things that we did to combat, the alley-oop cheese. And I think the gameplay team did, just a great job of addressing these issues that people that are really in the people's hands. And this is kind of the player behavior type stuff that we were looking at last year.
All right, cool. All right, now here's go ahead,
to go off of that, right? It's just like, when you're watching the real NBA, like, when do you mostly see alley-oops? On fast breaks or backdoor cuts.
Right.
You never really see a player saying, "Yo, I'm cutting, just throw it."
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how you're gonna see it now in the NBA. And to counteract the 2-on-1 and the bump cheese, where he'll just say, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna bump him." Well, you don't have to pull up for a mid-range jumper. You can go in for a floater.
Right.
Okay.
You can take an angle and make it look like you're about to throw an alley-oop because you're coming from an angle, or you can just throw a floater. You know what I'm saying?
By the way,
next time
those floaters that were so accurate last year, that's not the case this year either. So don't think that that's your money move. You're going to pull up on those floaters. Those were pretty accurate last year, and we took a lot of that away. So it really, again, goes back down to the player you're playing with and what his shot selection is, what his play style is. You got to play up to the player's strengths this year with the new unified badge system. But sorry to cut you off, iPod.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be acrobatic. I might throw a floater, spin move, 360, cartwheel, in the air, everything. Jamal Crawford to Blake Griffin.
Okay. And this is another question about Park before we go to the topic about the servers. They want to know if they're going to be leaderboards for the Park.
There are statistical leaderboards. There's not like your squad-based leaderboards. It doesn't work the way that last gen crew did with this is my crew, these are my 5. But there will be individual statistics. You can watch the live stream today. We went through just about every menu. As you enter a park, you're going to see the top ranked player there. So the player with the most rep, you're going to see exactly what his points, assists, rebounds are per game, as well as looking at your own stats. So I go back, check out the live stream that we did today. It's up on twitch.tv/2K. And you can check out some of the statistical overlays and some of the leaderboard stuff we have there. Now, that being said, there will be an overall My Park Championship leaderboard. So all those wins that you get representing your community will all be counted together towards the winning community around All-Star Break, where that community will receive a brand new My Park. So that is going to be very vital because you can earn rep in both My Park games and the Jordan Rec Center. So if you only want to play simulation style, you're still going to help your community by playing and winning. So that's really key.
All right, cool. So y'all heard it. Y'all got to make those wins count, man. Got to make those wins count before All-Star Weekend.
And one more thing on alley-oops before I forget. I know I talk a lot. It will take a while for you to earn rep to actually catch and finish alley-oop passes. So that's one way to combat some of that alley-oop stuff out there. You got to earn enough rep to be able to catch those alley-oop passes and throw it down.
So I can't go into my career and throw a couple selfies down and be straight?
Nope. That was a very weird thing the community found. I don't know how you guys find some of that, or the 3 jump balls on team up. Some of that stuff. But you know what? It helps the dev team when we find that stuff, and they can go look and address it for the upcoming year.
All right, Ariels, you've been kind of quiet, man. Is there anything you want to add to before we switch to talking about the servers?
No, let's go ahead and move on.
All right, man. All right, so I know everybody had this issue last year, whether it was Park or my team. Like sometimes you'd be playing, and for my team, for instance, you'd be playing, and then it'll be a server issue. You get disconnected, and then you'll take a loss. And one day I must have got 3 or 4 losses that way because of the server kept disconnecting. And it was kind of hard to go on win streaks in the Park because you win 3-4 games and then it would just kick you off the court would break, or somebody on your team would get kicked out of the Park. And I remember one night I was playing 3v3 I can't remember. I know it was OG Bigavelli and somebody else, and it was the first time I met him, and we went on like a 28 game win streak on the 3v3, and it kicked us off the court right when we won the 28th game. So it was just, it sucked because I wanted to kind of see how long we were gonna go, but at the same time it was just like, okay, we won 28 games, get off the court, you know. So
for sure. So I will kind of answer all these server questions in one broad answer, and that is going to be one thing I can say publicly is the team has rewritten all the matchmaking code for every game mode. So that includes the way that the spots work technically behind the scenes, you know, what the devs do. They've rewritten that matchmaking code, which caused some of those issues that you mentioned. Secondly, I encourage people to go listen to Mr. Rob Jones on the Press Road podcast he did about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. Maybe it was a little less than that. But he was on the Press Road podcast, and he talked about some of the other steps the team has taken in terms of servers, in terms of stability, in terms of making sure that the game functions properly and how it should. So definitely go listen to that for any other server questions you guys have. But I think the rewriting to the matchmaking code across the game, you should see stability, and that's what we're aiming for. So it should be good.
Can I say something about it?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I can say, because you know I listen to everything. So basically, guys, if they have a server issue with one mode, don't think that it's going to take down the entire game. They're going to address just that mode because that's going to be the mode that maybe has that problem, but every other mode should work fine.
Okay.
So each mode runs separate, in a sense.
Correct. It won't. One thing won't pull down the house per se.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, like
that's
beam.
my understanding that
yeah.
you can listen to the Press Row podcast again. This information coming from Rob Jones, and
Let me go find
talked
that link
and spoke to that.
Yeah,
So,
drop it in the chat for me.
Drop that in the chat, and if you guys are interested in hearing about that kind of stuff, definitely go check that out from him.
Oh, and another thing, I know, a lot of us had to deal with this last year, and there were like the corrupted my player files. And you go back, I had it happen to me on PlayStation and Xbox like 2 or 3 times maybe. And you guys did a good job at, getting us VC to, kind of fix those players. But even though we got that VC to fix that player, it kind of seemed like we never got that player back that we had to start with, and it just didn't feel as good as the other player did. So is there something in place to kind of stop that kind of stuff from happening this time around? Or is that something you guys really can't control?
No, I think, last year it's new tech, and I can't speak to what those issues exactly were because I'm not a developer, but
yeah.
I think as with everything across the game, whether it's gameplay or game modes or issues being addressed, this is year 2 on new tech, so I'm sure the team's learned a lot in terms of understanding why those issues were occurring. But again, with the rewritten matchmaking code and a lot of that stuff, online server stability is something we're aiming for. And I don't think you're going to see, those issues again when you play the game this year.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions as far as servers go? Wade,
really.
Ariels.
Could I have my own server? No, nah, not yet. All right, not yet. Okay.
JB, Ariels.
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
We're good.
Definitely check out, and I want to encourage people that are interested in this topic to please go listen to Rob Jones on the Press Row podcast, which I think iPod's dropping in the link, or Funeral will make sure. Go check it out. Go listen to what the team's
Twitter
done.
as well.
Definitely done a lot of major work. We know that's that area we want to get right, and I think the team's working towards that.
All right, cool. Well, he pretty much addressed all of those issues. So, don't get all upset if it's day one and it's like, millions of people trying to play the game and, there's a hiccup here and there. So don't go crazy and just condemn the game. Like how some of y'all like to do on Twitter. Y'all go nuts with like the smallest problem sometimes.
No, they don't. What are you saying? No, they don't.
I think to kind of counteract like all of it, I think that it should run a little bit better because the way that he explained it, like is to the point where they literally have like some type of message board that it makes it seem like a user is saying, "Help me," like to their system. So they get right on it, yo.
Yeah,
Like
good.
it's like having some type of supercomputer type thing. Like, trust me, listen to the podcast. I dropped it inside the chat on Twitch. I dropped the link on Twitter if y'all want to check it out. If it's already done been flooded over, and on the Twitch, I do have it on Twitter as well.
Okay.
All right, I got a question that I kind of want answered. I've seen Dave DeRave questioning this. I know we talked about cutscenes earlier, but his question is like, whenever you got traded in 2K14, there was kind of a cutscene that brought you into this, like into the new organization. You'd sit down with a new GM, and then, I mean, it was the same thing. Is that going to be the same in 2K15, or how's that going to work when you get traded?
I will say this: nothing you saw in my career for NBA 2K14 is going to be the same in NBA 2K15.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, from just the stuff that they dropped, like the videos and the info, you already seen that they're going in a different direction. Everybody has new voices. Everybody, the choices that you make aren't just generic to the point where you say yes or no. Now you have, like with every like one sentence that you choose, you kind of have to determine like I would like to see like the paragraph that they're about to spit out. I would love to see that because like you might read the one line like, "Hey, that's a cool response," and then when he says the whole thing, you're like, "Holy fuck, he just killed my career." So I would like to see like a preview of like what he would pick. That'd be dope. But that's just that's a wish for next year.
Yeah, next year. All right, let's get to what everybody wanted to talk about, man. This was like probably, I'm not gonna say probably, it was the biggest mode on NBA 2K last year, and that was my team. And I know I've seen it in the chat a lot tonight, and a lot of people are wondering. I know you can't say, but a lot of people are wondering if you're gonna bring more legends in my team this year that you didn't get to bring last year. And I know like one of the most, talked about guys people wanted to see in my team last year, well, two guys, was Vince Carter.
Tracy McGrady.
Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady, yeah.
Odd, I didn't know that. we've talked about that internally.
Yeah, like...
I will say this, without spoiling anything. Yes, you will see more legends this year.
Okay.
And stay tuned for that because my team is going to be updated weekly, as you guys know. And it is going to be a phenomenal ride. It's going to act nothing like it was last year. And you guys can read all about the updates. We have an interview with Kelly Wilson, one of the producers on my team, up on Affiliation Sports. So if you guys can find the link and check that out. And also check out Robbie from Two Brothers Gaming. He's been working with the dev team, dropping some exclusive info here and there. But to answer the question, yes, we are adding more legends this year. Who are they, LD? You're going to have to stay tuned.
People are saying Yao Ming, Diamond Shack.
My God. My God.
I mean, if you like, I don't know how many people are familiar with Operation Spurs, but if you aren't, you're losing.
Yes.
Like, Operation Spurs literally has so much info, and they literally have like a little small paragraph of just a few legends that are being added, to the game that nobody has even mentioned yet. There are a few people.
Go on there and yell at LD2K so hard, bro.
Yeah, you got to check out Operation Sports. If you are not following Operation Sports on Twitter, just not for 2K stuff, but just they talk about a lot of sports gaming in general, and they have great information, and it's updates multiple times a day. So you got to follow Operation Sports on Twitter.
Shout out to OS.
Yeah, man.
We have a lot of devs that are on there too. So.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys. I guess it looks like you guys are gonna be in for some surprises for my team. Are there any questions? Somebody said 3P Luke Walton card. All right, I'm gonna need you guys to chill out now. So are there any questions that you guys want to ask about my team? So I'm going to kind of go into the next subject, and then I'll come back to those my team topics.
Hey, by the way, no Luke Walton 3P card because he was a rookie in 2003-2004, which was after their 3P, of course.
You can't tell this man nothing about the Lakers.
No, sir.
All right, let's see. All
right, put him in there instead of Vince Carter. How about that?
Oh, no. Don't do that. Oh, speaking of my team, before we go, the Jordan cheese in my team. Like last year,
let's talk about that.
Last year, I seen a couple people, they would have 3 Jordans on one team.
Yes.
and it was just terrible. Like you go, okay, you get one Jordan tired, and then you think you're good, and then substitution comes in, another Jordan comes in.
That was something that was eventually patched.
Yeah.
That exploit. But in terms of Jordan and my team, the way that we're looking at it now is it should be very, very difficult to earn Michael Jordan.
Right.
And you'll be seeing some stuff that you have to do and the road that you have to take to potentially obtain him. So that's the attitude there. And definitely balance. Remember, my team's not going to work the same way it did last year. We really wanted to do things like have certain lineups available for the first couple seeds because it really isn't fair. I'll be the first one to admit I had a friend that got the game on Christmas, and he goes, this is great, but like I just played a lineup of a Diamond Duran and a Diamond,
man,
and that's not fair to an incoming player. And the hardest balance is looking at the core, what the most hardcore fans are, the people that play this game every single second of every single day, what they're looking for in a game, but also balancing it out to bring in new coming players, because that's really important too. So finding that nice balance is always the difficult task of our dev team, and I think they've nailed it across every mode. And that being one of them is making sure that the players that you have to earn.
Right.
Just like my career, just like my park, you're going to have to earn a lot of stuff this year, and my team's no different than that.
Yeah, that was a big issue for me.
To tell LD's friend, you weak. But I like if you watch Robbie's videos, you guys would definitely get a good grasp on how my team is gonna work this year. Like LD said, these lineups that you will need, like you will have like an overall of like what your team would look like on paper, and as to when you're about to go into a game. So if your team doesn't match up the way it's supposed to, your team might go in and catch an L because they might not be the right players for each other's strengths. So you might have like. Oh, go ahead, LD.
No, that's a great point, and sorry to cut you off, man. The other thing to that is the way that the unified badge system works. It really helps enhance the role players and the players that have specialties. So. Again, going back to that balance issue, but also, in the past with the new rating system, with the new unified badge system, and now with the way my team works, you can't upgrade players, but you can upgrade badges, which will help players kind of play like a level above them. So you could make a silver player into a gold. He wouldn't actually turn gold, but the badges themselves would allow the statistic, the stats of that player to basically become better. But applying the badges is still in, but also, making sure that these role players, to iPod's point, you want to have a balanced team. It's not about having the best players out there because you're going to have restrictions on challenges left and right where you can't just throw out the same type of team you're playing with, but you're going to have to really balance out how your team plays, and you're going to get that direct feedback when you start swapping out players of, oh, you just lost, minus 10 on shooting, but you swap this shooter in, you got plus 15 or, however it is. So you have to plot out a balanced coordinated team for each challenge in every game that you're playing, whether it's domination and so on, road to playoffs.
All right, cool. Anybody else got anything to add? Go ahead, JB.
Yeah, I got one. Okay, so I know last year you guys were pretty big on the locker codes. And in some of these locker codes, you could win like my team, or you could win diamond players like Diamond Duran or Diamond Kobe or whatever it was. Are you guys planning on doing that again this year, where you guys are going to insert these special cards inside just locker codes?
The answer is yes. I'm not going to go into details on what we're doing yet.
Don't do it.
The answer is yes. Locker codes for my team. I think I can say that safely. Locker codes from us are making a return, and I will just say this: you will know, and iPod knows this, but he can't speak on this. You will know when somebody received a locker code from social or a player.
Okay, it'll be something special.
It is very, very cool and different. And again, it comes back down to balancing, right? So it's not going to work the same way that it did last year.
Okay. And as far as the locker codes go, as far as the locker codes go, are they gonna be limited and everything like they were this year?
There's gonna be. We're looking at making sure that they're released in a balanced, coordinated effort, right?
Yeah, because
you'll be learning about what is coming in the near future a little bit after launch. But my team's going to be one of those modes where not only did the dev team sit down, I think we've spoken on this, maybe I haven't, so this is kind of cool. But our dev team sat down with the My Team team. I always get my words mixed up. The My Team developers sat down with Social, Ronnie, and myself, and we really plotted out a calendar that is around topical conversations around the NBA. So challenges are a great dynamic way to do updates.
Yeah.
Kobe scored 81 points in 2006 in January. You know, just a small little 81-point game. So you might see a challenge evolving around that 81-point game at some point. So we sat down and we looked at historical. Yeah, 2 assists. Yeah, there you go. Because everybody wants to see him get 10 assists when he's dropping 70, right?
Oh man!
Here's the cool thing, though. We're looking at ways to add challenges that make sense and around milestones and stuff like that. So it's going to be a very fun mode in terms of updates throughout the year, and we've thought about the short term, the long term. We know players gravitate towards that mode to kind of close out the NBA 2K season for that title every year. And I think they've done again phenomenal job of looking at what people liked, what people didn't like. I mean, my team's kind of like a labor of love from what the fans wanted. So I can't think of a single feature that wasn't included there that people were just absolutely salivating for. So it's going to be a fun mode to see the updates, and our locker codes and stuff like that are going to be part of that.
All right. Well, there's something the people in the chat.
I see all this Kobe stuff on here. Just remember, it was against Jalen Rose. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say at that. So.
And one more thing, since we're gonna talk about Kobe, every other team in the league that year played that same Toronto team. So there you go.
You knew that was coming. You knew that was coming.
Just saying, every other team played them at least twice.
28 ranked team defense. What? Oh, okay. So anyway, next subject.
Uh-oh.
Should have doubled Kobe.
No, don't do
that.
Should have doubled Kobe. I don't know what you want to say.
Yeah, you gotta adjust as a team. You gotta adjust as a team.
Can't say anything on that one. True that.
All right. Oh yeah. Speak on the locker code subject. It's gonna be a good thing because a lot of my viewers, are younger kids, and sometimes you guys would put codes out when they're at school, and they would miss a lot of codes. And I remember one day with being a mod in your chat, LD, and you were playing my team one night, and then I got like 20, 30 messages from people that were in the chat asking me for locker codes. Like I could give them locker codes, and some guy gave me this sad sob story. It's like, my son, he can never get on to get locker codes. I get on for him. I'm a coal miner and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, dude, like what do you want me to do? Like,
okay, so to counteract that, download the new My NBA 2K15 mobile app when it drops.
There we go.
Is that right, LD? They should have a little bit of fun with that, right?
That's right. You're going to be learning about that in a couple days, and I don't know. There's going to be some features on there you might want to have handy, pun intended, on that
Team
mobile.
iPhone. Team iPhone, by the way.
This guy.
Yeah.
We will. We're definitely. Locker codes is one of those things. We talk to our friends over at International, and we've released a locker code at some point in time or another at every hour of every hour in the day. So there's never a right time. It's like I get these tweets. Why are you releasing these when I'm at school? It's like, okay, let me check 7 million people's schedules and make sure that we're hitting everybody at the right precise time, because then no locker codes would go out. Spoiler alert.
Right.
But we're looking at different times, and like I said, it's going to be a little bit different this year with locker codes, and we haven't really talked about that, so I'm not going to go too in depth with that. But we're definitely looking at what times work better for people and stuff like that. And we'll try to release locker codes in a very diverse manner, so people can get them at different, time zones and locations, times of day, that sort of stuff. But we've thought about that, and it's always on the mind. But no matter what we do, it's the wrong time. Should have done it this time. Like, it doesn't matter. That's kind of the unfortunate side of locker codes.
Yeah.
Can't please everyone.
Pretty much. I mean, that's what it is. Somebody's always gonna have something to complain about.
Right.
Anybody got anything to add before we hit this last topic?
Let's do it, man.
Ariels? JB?
Let's go.
Pod?
No.
All right, well, next topic is my league. And this is something that I'm really excited about because being a streamer, I like to, be able to interact with my viewers. You ask anybody in my chat, like my chat participation is like crazy. Like I talk to everybody in my chat, and that's like my favorite part about this guy. That's my favorite part about streaming on Twitch is being able to instantly interact with my viewers. Whereas sometimes, on YouTube, you kind of have to go through like a million comments. In iPod's case, he's a superstar.
Bruh, don't even do it, because I'm about to base you. Talk about the best thing about being a Twitch streamer is interacting. You know how hard it is to interact with 100 people.
Yeah, it is.
I look at my chat, I'll be like, damn, that was a cool question. That would disappear instantly.
For real.
But one thing I can say about iPod when he does stream, he tries his best to interact with his viewers, or he'll have people in, on Skype that's reading the chat for him. So, he does interact. But that's my favorite thing to do, is talk to people in the chat and just the interaction. So with my league, the league before, I would set a league up, get people in the chat to join the leagues and everything like that. So, I could play games with multiple viewers. And it just wasn't working right last year. Like, it was either it wasn't recording stats, or we would fill the league up, and it would take like 20-30 minutes just to get everybody signed up for the league, and either the league would crash when we started, or the games weren't recording stats and things like that. And there was another issue I was having. Actually looking for people to invite them to the league. Like, the friends list wouldn't load up right sometimes, and I don't know if that's something that was addressed, but it was killing me, like having to go in and type everybody's name in individually because the friends list wouldn't load up right. But,
okay, now I have one quick thing. Are we talking about my league or online leagues?
The online leagues.
Okay, cool. Because my league is strictly offline.
Okay, well, is it the online leagues?
Online leagues
is okay. What I want to talk about then, because is that something that you guys fix, or is it going to be? Are we going to be able to have these leagues now this year?
So online leagues return, and as iPod mentioned, my league this year is offline.
Yeah.
But it's basically everything that you've ever wanted in association mode on steroids. So I think there's a big potential for a big future with my league. That being said, with online leagues this year, some of the stuff that I can confirm is you can adjust the number of teams, season length, difficulty style, quarter length, trades, playoffs, and finals. Custom rosters are in, so even though there's no fantasy draft, which I know a lot of people want, and that's definitely on our radar, and we hear you, you can do the custom rosters, set them up that way, set up a mock draft, and then just assign whatever players go to who and how many players you have. You can play with CPU-controlled teams are in. You can view all the player, team stats, standings, team rosters, trades, and more. Flex scheduling is in. Admins can reset games, and like I said, customizable rosters are in as well. So the stability part of it, I will say check out Rob Jones' interview. We definitely want to make sure that online leagues are stable, as with anything that we do with online. So you can listen to that Press Row podcast for more details on what they're doing to address online. But a lot of these updates, I think, on online leagues are going to make those guys happy for what it is this year. And even though stuff like fantasy draft, which I know is a very fun thing, I actually played in a few fantasy drafts. One with IGN, I remember back with NBA 2K13, had an absolute blast.
Yeah, that's a good thing, man.
It's definitely on the radar in terms of we know that the fans want that, and that's one of those features unfortunately, it's not in NBA 2K15, but that doesn't mean that it's not important to us or it's not on our radar for the future. So that's what online leagues are this year, and I think you're going to see a lot more stability with them based on some of the issues you had last year, or your experiences from last year.
The trolls are in the chat asking about armpit hair.
I just read that too.
It's in there, baby. We got armpit hair.
Okay, so
biggest NBA 2K news ever.
That's a good thing for me to hear, though, that it's going to be more stable, because every month I do an Astro headset giveaway, and it was getting to the point where it's okay, I want to find creative ways to let people win, let them actually earn it. So I was trying to do it whoever won the league win an Astro gaming headset and an Astro gaming T-shirt, and it just wasn't going down, man. So I was just pretty much giving them away at one point in the chat, just like a random, pretty much almost like a random number. The bot is picking the winners in the chat,
right.
So So now I'm glad that I'll actually be able to do a league and somebody can win that way, so they'll actually have to earn them. So
And if you are experiencing issues or you see some of that same stuff happening, like let me know and I'll make sure that the devs receive it and they can look into what the issue is, or if anything pops up like that this year. Like I said, everything across the board from a matchmaking standpoint, matchmaking does affect online leagues, has been completely rewritten, and you can learn more about that in Rob Jones' Press Row podcast.
He said, "I want people to lose VC for raging out of ranked games, so people quit less." Let's see. All right, well, that's the. Do you guys? Any of you guys have anything else to add to that subject?
No, not really. I mean, I'm trying to think right now. See if I can come up with anything.
I do have one thing. I think I texted you about it, LD, and I think you might have said it, but just to reassure myself, he said, quick question about the associations, which is, he's talking about online leagues.
Right.
He said, do you know if you could pick as many teams as you want instead of having to pick 30?
Yeah, I believe you can. You can adjust the number of teams this year, yep.
Okay, cool.
All right,
and CPU controlled teams are in, so it's like if you want to just play with one other friend but still have a somewhat of a league going with other CPU teams, you can do that this year.
Okay.
Which I don't believe was in last year.
Yeah, that was good, man. Because sometimes we would have people that they kept rage quitting in the leagues or whatever, and then the stats weren't recording. So we wanted to kick them out of the league and just kind of put a CPU player in there,
or they
kind of keep the league going. Yeah, that too.
And that, by the way, that's an important factor, because when people think about these things, like I know a lot of people want, only playing in the rec center if they have 5 and stuff like that. The thing is, scheduling like a 5v5 game or even just a 10-person league and making sure that everybody's there every night. Like we all have, lives. We have work. We have, children to attend to, or we're a teenager in college. We have nothing to do. But, trying to gain people, and this is just my personal experience from gaming. Like I play a lot of Halo, and I'm speaking right now. When I roll with my guys, when we want to dominate every night, it's tough to get everybody together. So we think about things like that. Mm-hmm. So we hear, the side of, hey, I want to get my guys, my team, my guys that play in this league. But also we look at the amount of people that create these leagues, but then they just never end up happening, or the leagues don't go through. So, there's data on that, and we look at those things and make decisions sometimes. I think, personally speaking, there's decisions made based on like, are those kind of leagues continuing on? What's the reason for them not to be continuing? So, like I said, with online leagues this year, I think there's a lot more flexibility than there was last year. And even though it's not back to like what people want with the full online association or a fantasy draft, stuff like that, I think there's a lot of potential for my league to kind of take over as the future association mode. And I also feel that this year, online leagues, you should see a much better experience than last year.
All right, cool. Well, this is the end of the podcast. I want to, thank LD and iPod for, showing up and being so interactive with the chat and answering these questions to, the best of their ability. I know LD can't really tell us too much, but, appreciate everything you were able to tell us, and you answered a lot of questions that, some of our viewers have been talking about for the last couple days. And iPod, I appreciate you as always, man. You're always looking out for me, man.
Oh, no problem, bro. But we're not talking about my GM, huh?
Oh, hold on. Wait a minute.
We got lots of those, man.
Hold on. Okay, yeah, my GM. So iPod's not done yet. He still got something to say.
I just have one question.
All right, go for it.
Now, of course, I had to create Sam Hinkie, right? Will I be able to create an actual save solely for my GM, or will my player always load up and be what I had created my player as?
I believe it's directly affected off what your my player is.
Okay. All right.
I'd have to double check that, because I see what you're saying there. So
right,
yeah,
well,
it's reflective of the my player that you create. So if you don't create a my player, the game automatically designates one. I think it would be that designated person. Right.
All right. So it looks like I'm gonna have to start my GM in September again. Because I can't let my face scan go. Nope, can't let it go. Not at all.
Oh yeah, I know.
It'll pull from whatever face scan or non-face scan my player is there, and you can customize that at any point.
There's a question I had too for you. Before we go, if you have any more questions for any of us, LD, iPod, Ariels, JB, or Wade, please put them in the chat right now or Twitter. But I had a question for LD that I keep hearing. People are wanting to know if 2K will ever get to the point where you can actually transfer your My Career player to next year's version of the game, because a lot of, like I was saying earlier, with losing your players from server issues, a lot of people get used to playing with a player in that play style, and they don't want to go to the next 2K and have to start completely fresh. Some people enjoy doing it, the new journey and the things you're going to experience along the way, but a lot of people don't want to have to start over as far as My Player goes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a concept, right? And well, I can't tell you what we're doing. We have the roadmap, and I think historically you've seen that it's a new experience every year because we add different dynamics to the mode, and we have these different experiences, and the gameplay gets enhanced, and there's a VC system now, so there's things that are tied into that, and I think I definitely have gotten questions on, hey, why don't we carry over our My Players? But I'd really be interested to hear ideas on how you guys would actually technically make that work, because most people that want that are finishing out their seasons and going to the Hall of Fame, right? So it's interesting. There's things like the 2K has done in the past, like the draft combine, which I was a big fan of, and there was things that were direct connections, but it's definitely an interesting concept, and we're open ears to ideas, and it's something that has been discussed over here before, for sure.
Okay, well, at least we know that that's something you guys are talking about, because I hear that question all the time.
Yeah, the other side of that too, and again, not saying that always decisions are based off what I'm about to say, so I don't want people to misconstrue this. People were asking, like, halftime show, how come Shaq and Ernie aren't at the halftime show? And then my response was, if you look at the amount of people that button through a halftime show, you'd understand. It's a very, very high number that button through halftime shows, and then the people that do want it are like, well, some of us don't. But you have to make decisions based on numbers. Last year, My Career was the most played game mode beyond Quick Match. Personally speaking, I never thought I would be here to see that day, but I also understand why, because of the draw and the appeal of having that created player go on the hero's journey, right? Yeah. So I think, like, I don't know. I think we've discussed a lot of ideas that fans bring up. They've already been internally discussed and stuff like that. But my answer to the question would be, we definitely would love to hear your ideas, and always feel free to submit them. But historically speaking, it's been a new experience every year.
Okay, and they're also asking in the chat if you guys have been tossing around the idea for connected seasons like Madden does for My Career.
You're gonna have to wait on that, bruh. You're gonna have to wait on that. I threw like a 96-mile-per-hour pitch at the head guy from My Career. Yeah. I threw him the whole pitch, bruh. You gotta pray. You know what I'm saying? You can only throw pitches out there. You know what I'm saying? Nothing was confirmed nor denied. So you know what I'm saying, you just gotta throw the pitch out there. That's all.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a great idea. That would be a great idea, though.
I think it would be an interesting concept to have something along the lines of building out your My Career, and I definitely think creating My Players, as you can see with the park, it's not only just being able to go out there and prove you're the best player, but now there's more at stake, and there's communities involved, and people are really going to have to play for more than just themselves. So it's an interesting concept, and if we could go from the park last year, to which was a mode that was innovative but had a lot of criticism with it from all fans alike, to creating My Park, which is now one of the most anticipated modes in NBA 2K15, I can only imagine where we're going to go from there, right? So it should be interesting. It's an interesting concept, and like I said, you guys ever have ideas? Like iPod had his notes and his pen and paper, and he was chatting up with the dev team. I hear something that I have not heard or has not been discussed internally, I always take it to the dev team and bring it to their attention, because sometimes there's just a little gem that we hear, and it's just like, wow, that is amazing. We never thought of it. One person guessed what we're doing in the future for something, and it's interesting. Just one person in the entire planet, from my knowledge, has directly guessed where we're heading in the future with a specific mode. So it's always those little gems.
You know how I do. No, just playing.
All right,
so yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting.
but I know for sure that like with that whole wanting to connect a career, it's gonna be hard because you really won't get cutscenes. You'll probably get those like player introductions maybe on court. That'll probably be like the best thing you'll get. You won't get like cutscenes throughout the whole my career, and like with how football is with how Madden does it, they have some people might be on defense, some people might be on offense. They'll never see each other the entire game.
Right.
Whereas though in basketball, you can actually play up against that person, and with 7-minute quarters, that person might sit on the bench for maybe 45 seconds to half a minute. I mean, not half a minute, but a minute and a half, and then come right back in. So you guys will see each other all game. So. Right. I think 2K could probably do a whole lot better job at a connected careers mode, because offense and defense are both on the field at the same exact time,
right?
To as where with a quarterback, you have two quarterbacks in the game. You're like, yo, I see you next half. All right, have fun beating my defense to shreds. So
pretty much.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I threw a lot of different ideas at my career dev team, and I'm praying, bro. I'm just praying.
They keep asking in the chat, will the My Career get an All-Star game this year?
I mean, what do you mean? Like,
as he said, will there be All-Star MVP for My Career?
Oh, LD.
In terms of playing in the All-Star game and potentially getting the MVP, is that what they're asking?
Yeah, because
they probably want like a cutscene at the end of the person getting a trophy.
Yeah,
because I mean, like, it seemed like rookie year, like even if like you're just having the beast rookie year, and you get invited to the All-Star game, when you play for a few minutes. Like,
well, remember your career is going to start in year one at least at 6 months into the season, which I think is around January. Maybe a little later than that, but you're not gonna have the same experiences that you've had in the past. And the one and done type of thing, building up a guy and having him be a 99 overall, those days are gone. So we have a lot of surprises in store. And I won't spoil anything My Career because I think you do yourself a disservice when you start watching all the cutscenes and stuff like that as you progress through the mode. But one thing that's also interesting about it is even if you watch all of iPod's videos or Chris Smooth's videos or just watch the live stream, it's going to be different for everyone, outside of a few things. And the film reviews are really cool. You saw a little bit of that on Smooth's channel. You saw the opening cutscenes. There's definitely a little bit of table setting going on, but how you decide to eat and what you choose to eat is kind of up to you as a player. So there's going to be a lot of surprises, I think, this year in My Career that people will like.
Yeah, that's why you guys need to, whoever you guys are, not going to say y'all names, y'all need to stop streaming 2K15 on Twitch. Stop ruining it for everybody.
Which, by the way, I'd like to just say one thing. There is an embargo on live streaming NBA 2K15 on Twitch. So you have the potential to get a strike if you're doing so, and your stream will be shut down. So just wait till 10/7. Everybody's going to stream, and we're always encouraging fans to play the game. You get the game early, feel free to play it. Just don't stream it.
Yeah, guys have been getting shut down all day.
Yeah, all day.
Like all day. Like somebody will be like, "Yo, look at this cheese," and like I see the tweet, I click on the link. This channel is offline. This user does not exist. I said, damn.
Yeah, some dude had like 700 people in there watching him play it earlier.
And people are excited, and we're excited for them. But there's some rules to it. Pre-launch, and that's just one of them.
There's levels to this.
Hey, Funeral. So there's a guy in there, Zombies. He keeps asking about the PS3 and 360, and I think that's a pretty good question for the last gen.
What was the exact question?
Basically, he's just asking, will it be the same as previous PS3 and 360 versions, or will it be closer towards the next gen systems? So
I can answer that. So obviously. People see these new things, and we're really harnessing the power of the next-gen technology with the PS4, the Xbox One, and now the PC, which I'm really excited to have on next-gen because I feel like we're standing out in the pack in terms of taking care of PC players. And the face scanning thing is the only thing basically on PC you won't get. You won't be able to face scan. I know the Kinect camera is coming to the PC, and the team's looking at that. But
that's I didn't mean to cut you off, LD. That's something I know a couple guys that are like heavy PC players, and they were actually going to pick it up for PC. They were wondering if you were going to be able to do it. I was actually listening to their podcast, the Gaming Illuminati podcast last week, I think it was, and they were talking about that. They were wondering if they were going to be able to do the face scan on PC, so they're probably going to be pretty upset about that.
The face scan harnesses the hardware of next gen, so the PlayStation camera and the Kinect. And the reason for that is a webcam can't pick up the depth and the texture and the shadowing that the next gen camera can. And I'll let iPod speak to. You've seen it, how it works, and it was a work in progress when you were there. And you saw Ronnie today on the live stream. We did that in the same room, iPod, that was pretty dark and not a lot of good lighting. We did that face scan today with Ronnie. So the technology is just coming along, and it harnesses these cameras in different ways. Unfortunately, that's the only feature that you won't get on PC as of now.
Okay.
But PC does have park and everything, though.
Yeah, the PC will have everything else that the console versions, the next-gen console versions have, minus face scanning. But it's not like we're ignoring it. It's just basically finding a way to make that technology work.
Okay.
Because it's not like it's not a technology that you just take your picture and you submit it and it looks at your template, or it looks at your picture and it says, hey, this guy kind of looks like you and here you are. This actually molds and creates your face, looks at how my nose differentiates from Chris Smooth's nose, or how my eyes are from, my buddy's eyes, or how my lips are. The details, I know I have, like, I saw it pick up pimples the other day. Like, it's just insane technology that actually creates your face. So, we're looking at that for everything in the future. But going back to the last gen question, stuff like that just isn't possible with the technology on last gen in those systems. So, some people go, well, why aren't there cutscenes in my career? Well, there's just not space. There's just not, the technology isn't there. But, the gameplay has seen a lot of adjustments on last gen. There's new animations just like there is on next gen. And the team went in and cleaned up the gameplay from that perspective. Obviously, Crew and 2K Heroes are two modes that we're excited about for people to try out, as well as all the stuff that you would expect to be on last gen. So, no, it's not closer to the next gen. It's more along the lines of what you've seen over the last couple of years in terms of game modes, but that's not a bad thing because,
gameplay is definitely touched up.
Gameplay is definitely touched up, yeah.
Okay, and another question.
They got they should be happy.
Can I answer Lisa's question real quick?
Yeah, I was about to ask a question
I saw
because
that too.
she wants to be able to scan her face too.
Now, check this out, Lisa. You can scan your face, right? Now, of course, I hope you don't have any facial hair. What will happen is when you scan your face in, right, you will have your face on this template that's going to be a man. But if you make them the right weight and, like, and height, and, like, give them like a ponytail or long hair type of joint, you can literally look like a girl out there on the court. Like, since it scans your face, it's all about your face. And with the whole next gen thing, being able to change, like, the bridge of your nose, how wide it is, your head, how wide your head is, how slender your face is, your cheekbones, everything, you can literally probably make a girl on there. Like, literally. Yeah. If you seen how dudes look, with beards and everything like that, just imagine a girl that has no facial hair that scans herself in the game. It's definitely possible. You know what I'm saying? If you got, like, a chick out there that got dreads. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
So
yeah,
unfortunately, there's no female bodies in the NBA games, but you can. Yeah. I actually scanned my wife, I think, a couple days ago, Morgan, and she was looking. It was trippy because I could see it, but she felt she was too muscular.
Yeah. All right. Also about
it's definitely possible.
The hair textures in the game. The hair textures last year kind of, like, we saw where you guys were going with it, but they kind of seemed like a little off. Like, you would look at the hair textures for your My Player, then you would look at some of the guys like Dwayne Wade. He would have his hair cut a certain way, and the texture was just right. But then the My Player players, their hair was just kind of weird.
So I can say that we have the options of hair, and the discussion of potentially, I'm trying to think how I can say this without getting in trouble. We're listening to fan feedback on wanting more hair, and that's maybe something that we can address in the future.
Okay, and they're also asking about tattoos.
There are more tattoos. To what extent, I actually don't know, but I've been told there are more tattoos this year in NBA 2K15.
And just to let everybody know, the versions that we have been playing are not the final version. So there are a lot of things that the devs can add, especially for that day one patch. So, what LD is telling you is completely the truth. They have told him there are more tattoos, but he has not seen them because of the version that he is playing. He may be playing like a spliced down version that can just simply work this way. And, they just add in all the cosmetic stuff later.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, any more questions before we get out? Anything anybody else wants to, talk about? Okay, silence. All right.
My mic was muted, but yeah, I was saying nada. But
all right, cool. Well, appreciate everybody that came through, to participate in this. Our regulars and our special guest, iPod King Carter. If you guys aren't sub to his channel, which I'm pretty sure most of you guys are, go check him out. Sub to his channel, and follow him on Twitter. Follow LD on Twitter, and remember, like he said, if you have any suggestions for the game, as far as ideas go, shoot them to him on Twitter, and he'll try his best to get them over to the dev team. And make sure you follow Aries on YouTube. I mean, not follow, but subscribe to his YouTube. If you haven't watched any of his videos, man, he is one of the greatest commentators I've seen on YouTube in a long time.
Thank you.
Like, this guy, he sounds like he needs to be on ESPN, no lie. So, go check him out. Make sure you check Wade out on Twitch.
That's who you are. Yeah, I remember when you did the video of the team up that we did the LD. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. For
LD
D-Man.
don't even remember. He left.
Yep. And I will say we're gonna be talking soon with that golden voice. So
there we go.
A DM soon.
Yeah, man, this guy's voice is great for play-by-play. So if anybody wants to do some collabs with him, man, make sure Ariels put your YouTube in the chat and your Twitter in the chat as well, and check out some of his videos, man. Like play-by-play on everything, baseball, basketball, all of it, man. So go check him out. Appreciate everybody coming through for the podcast. I'm gonna put this up on YouTube for the people that missed it, or if you just want to go back and listen to it again and pick up some of the things that you missed.
Hey, Funeral.
Yeah.
I just want to say a special shout out to Lex too for hooking us up with that overlay too,
Yeah.
man, especially last minute, and how things is going on crazy and stuff. Special shout outs to him.
And we're sorry that we couldn't get Larson here from the Law Mob. I guess he got caught up with his flight. He'll more than likely be here during the next podcast. So make sure you guys tweet him and let him know you missed him. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here, man. Thanks for watching. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Funeral Gaming, and follow this channel if you haven't already, man. If you have any more questions, make sure you tweet me right now. I'll be on Twitter for a little while. Good night, guys.
Yerks.
Bye, guys.
What the?